Hello everyone. Cbse board has changed the syllabus for class 10th board exams 2021. We shall talk about this in detail, and while we'll be talking about this, we shall focus on the deleted section and the remaining section both, and the objective is how is this going to impact the learning of a student who is going to write the board exam in 2021. Though this video is going to talk about only the mathematics portion, but the points that we'll be discussing here will be valid for any subject, which the student is going to write the exam on. Okay, so now when we talk about this, when we talk about the change in the syllabus, the change in the syllabus could be either the syllabus has increased or the syllabus has decreased, but here we are talking about the syllabus has changed where the syllabus has decreased. So a normal or a general interpretation here is, from a student's perspective or from others' perspective also, a general connotation here is the paper becomes easier because of the changed syllabus, which is the reduced syllabus in this case. So I am going to talk about this. What does this mean? When the syllabus has been revisited, what does it mean? And I'll be using a small mathematical model for this so that it becomes easier for you henceforth. Whenever there is a change in syllabus, change in question, whatever, it becomes easier for you to have, devise a strategy yourself. Okay. So I'm going to discuss this with the help of two parameters. One is quantity and the other one is quality. So if I see, and I'll explain it to you, I'll explain each and everything in detail, and that is the basic objective that we should try and understand so that we become self-reliant, self-sufficient, and whenever such kind of changes happen in life, it becomes easier for us to take a decision based on our knowledge quotient. Okay. Now when I say this is a mathematical model, I am using a very condensed form of a mathematical model here so that it becomes easier for a student to understand. Okay, so I would say that here the total number of outcomes that I can have here are 9. I call it as a 3 into 3 matrix. So now when I am talking about the quantity, I am basically talking about the quantity of the syllabus, and then I am referring to the quality of the syllabus. Now when the board, so now the quantity of the syllabus and the quality of the syllabus is not in our hands, because in our case, now since we are talking about Cbse board has already decided the quantity and the quality of the syllabus in advance. So let us talk about this. 0 denotes no change, plus means increases, minus means a decrease, and same here. So now here we are not talking about increase in syllabus, we are not talking about, so quantity of syllabus, has it increased? No, it hasn't. Has the quantity, does the quantity remain the same? No. Has the quantity decreased? Yes. Now when the quantity has decreased, a general or a generic interpretation here is people feel that the quality, so now when I talk about the quality, I am talking about the easiness level. So has it become easier, or let's talk about the difficulty level, whatsoever you want to talk about. So either I talk about the difficulty level or I talk about the easiness level. So now if I talk about the difficulty level has increased. So a generic understanding here is the difficulty level will be decreased because it is less exhaustive. Now when I say less exhaustive, I am basically talking about the quantity of the syllabus. This is not true. Even if the quantity of the syllabus has decreased, still the difficulty level may remain the same, which is no change. The difficulty level may decrease, that means the paper becomes easier, or the difficulty level may increase. Now as a student, if I am a student, this I should keep in mind that any one of the three things can happen, because the quantity and the quality of the content or the syllabus or of the questions is not in our hands, because as a student we are just going to write the exam which is going to be prepared by the board. So what does the decrease in the syllabus mean? it can mean any one possibility out of these three possibilities. So please be prepared for this. Having said this, what is the next step which is important here? The next thing which is important here is, okay, I have understood that there are three cases. Even if the syllabus has decreased, the difficulty level, there are three cases, right? But what am I supposed to do? So what you are supposed to do here is, we will talk about this with the help of these parameters. What is the strategy? Are we referring to other study materials or not? Are we referring to past papers? And then we'll talk about the future prospects also of the decrease in the syllabus. And this is rather important. Now, when I'm talking about point number 2, what to do now, we will be talking about the area of focus now simultaneously. So what I mean to say is, what to do now is my modus operandi. What do I need to do now? What is the way to go ahead? Which way is the right way? What is the right strategy? Now, if I'm talking about the strategy, then I talk about the study material, the content which I'm referring to, and the time that I'm taking to solve a question. And then we talk about the pattern of the paper also. So now when I'm talking about the strategy, when I'm talking about reference, when I'm talking to past papers, all these three things are in the hands of the person who is going to write the exam. Something which is not in our hands is the quantity and the quality of the syllabus which has been prescribed by the board. And the second thing which is not in our hands is the pattern of the paper. Maybe the pattern of the paper also changes. We can't predict it. Maybe the pattern is, remains the same. So again, we can talk about three things. So the 3x3 matrix that I had talked about, now that can be further compounded if I talk about the pattern P. The pattern may remain the same, the pattern may change. So maybe we'll have to make further cases. So let us not talk about the things which are not in our hands. Now we'll be talking about the things which are in our hands with respect to the change that would have happened. Right? And I'll talk about what to do now with respect to the changes as we talked about, and whether deletion or that change, will it be correct or what are the consequences? Okay. So now when we are talking about the strategy, now when I'm talking about the strategy, I am talking about, let's say, the chapters or the topics which have been removed. For example, if I talk about real numbers and it says the topic that has been removed under the head of real numbers is Euclid's division lemma. Right? For a student like me, if somebody tells me that Euclid's division lemma has been removed, does it make any difference? Does it impact my learnings? I mean, it does not impact my learning because this is something that has been done. I mean, I have already done it, not only in class 10th, but I have done it in class 9th as well, talking from the perspective of a student. Now, what if somebody tells me that this topic is not going to come and now I am relaxed? No, you should not get relaxed here, because this topic is really important because it has cascading effects. What is the cascading effect here? Okay, under the head of real numbers, what they want you to do is, okay, remove Euclid's division lemma. But now this division lemma is used in other chapters where they have not removed this or they have not talked about Euclid. So it's a kind of catch-22 situation wherein on one hand we are being told that Euclid's division lemma has been removed, but on the other hand, I know in a chapter like polynomials, when I am doing the factorization, Euclid's lemma is required. Or when I am doing arithmetic series, Euclid's lemma is required. Or when I am doing coordinate geometry, when I write the equation of a line as y is equal to mx plus c, in a certain sense I am talking about Euclid's lemma only, wherein c, which is the y-intercept, is nothing but the remainder. When I talk about a specific divisor, and the specific divisor here is the slope of the line. So, should I do Euclid's lemma or not? You should do it. Now, why are you being advised despite the fact that it has been told that this is not going to appear? Because it has cascading effects. Maybe they are not going to give you a direct question on Euclid's division lemma, which they have already specified, but then it has some consequent effects in some other chapter. You are supposed to use it, which is unavoidable. And I have not talked about all the chapters. I have talked about only few of them. I can even use ratio proportion I can use Euclid's division lemma in the ratio proportion as well, and in many other topics. So when I know that this topic has cascading effects, it is connected with other topics also, what is the strategy? The strategy is to focus on that content, right? So here we were talking about quantity, and now we will talk about, when I'm talking about the area of focus of an individual, what should one do? Now in this case also you will be talking about the quantity and quality both. So one is we are going to talk about the quality, other we are going to talk about quantity. We are going to talk about quality and quantity of the study material, so now when I am saying study material, I am basically referring to the theory side of it and the non-theory. Non-theory here is I am talking about the questions, right? So when I'll be talking about the questions, so let's take it one by one. Similarly, so should I do Euclid's division lemma? You are not at a loss, but if you don't do it, maybe you are. So what is advisable at this stage is please do it, because there is a very small formula. And what is the formula? Dividend is equal to a divisor into the quotient plus the remainder, and then you know that you have some cascading effects. You have other topics which are connected with this. You are not at a loss if you are doing it. And another perspective here is, so when we are talking about the future prospects, so I know that somebody who is going to be a student of mathematics in class 11th and 12th as well. So it will be assumed that you have already done this topic as prescribed by the board, because the board, what I can think as of now is, with an element of disclaimer here, they are not going to change the content of their books the next year when you go in class 11th, and let's assume that you would be further taking mathematics. So, and it's generally assumed that are they changing the content in their books every year? I have not seen. Generally it does not happen. Specifically, if it happens, so even if it happens, if they change the content of their books also next year, so then this comes to you as an additional burden. And why can't we, it's something which is very small, why can't we do it? So let's do it. So from a perspective of a student who is going to take mathematics in class 11th and 12th, and a student who is not going to take mathematics also, for them also it is necessary. Why? Because this topic is connected with other topics, so it has implicit connections. Okay. Now the next thing that they have deleted from the syllabus here is they are talking about statement and simple problems on division algorithm for polynomials with real coefficients. This is a very generic statement. I do not see this as a very specific one. But then what I can see as an educator and as a mentor, what I can understand, or as a student of mathematics, that this is nothing but the extension of Euclid's division lemma only. So should we do it? You are not at a loss because you have already done polynomials. So there is no harm if you revise it again. The second reason here is, the first reason we have already talked about, why are all these topics important. The second reason why it is important, why am I asking you to do it? Because if you're doing it, you are not at a loss. But if you are not doing it, you are at a loss because your further studies, they become exhaustive. Or if you're looking for some competitive exams also after class 10th, then you have to study separately. And when you have to sit down and study separately, then it becomes quite difficult, because then you are not in touch, you are out of touch. So that passion of doing something is lost vis-a-vis when you are doing that something, or when you have already done it to its logical completion. Okay. Third, talking about quadratic equations, they say that situational problems based on equations reducible to quadratic equations, I see this as a healthy thing. I mean, they have deleted this. Why? Because word problems are always confusing, and it challenges people to an extent wherein in the very first place understanding or interpreting a problem on polynomial equations or quadratic equations itself is slightly challenging. So if they have removed this comes as a very healthy thing. Okay. Next they say is arithmetic progressions, application in solving daily life problems based on sum to n terms. I have my reservations here. Now what is a reservation here? When we talk about numbers, so we were talking about the cascading effect. So now when I say what is the sum for first 10 natural numbers, so you will say that you don't require a formula for this. Why? Because I can simply add up and then find it out. Fair enough. What if I say that find out the sum for first 50 natural numbers, right? Or find out the sum for first 20 even numbers, or find out the sum for first 50 odd numbers. Now this becomes really challenging if you do not know the specific formulas to be used. So what I would advise here is do not go very much in detail. I am talking about the deleted portion. So they are asking you based on the sum formula. So you need to know the sum formula to solve questions on arithmetic progression. You need to know it. So knowing a particular formula and then practicing those formulas with the help of some questions. Okay. So we talked about these 3-4 things which have been deleted, which we should do or which we should not do. I mean, which comes as a healthy thing, or maybe this is something which you should do because this is going to help you in other topics as well. So then at the same time we were talking about the quality and the quantity of your preparation also. So when we said how is this going to impact you, I hope all of us we know that the questions which appear in your NCERT books, the same questions as it is are not going to appear in your board exams. I mean, let us try and understand this thing fundamentally. They can give you a similar kind of a question but not exactly the same question as it would have appeared in your books. Or even if they give you an exact question also, the count of such kind of exact questions would be very few. So now when I know, let's say out of 100 marks, if they are going to give you, let's say they are giving you 10 marks, the questions of which you have already done in the past, what about 90 marks? The questions, a similar kind of, not exactly the same questions they are going to give you, they are going to change the quality, they may change the quantity of the questions as well. Now once we know that they may change the quality and the quantity of the questions, now when I talk about my preparation as a student, when I am preparing for any competitive exam, what should I do? How do I ensure the quality and quantity? Then comes the role of reference books, or then comes the role of your strategy. So when I'm talking about quality and quantity, I'm basically talking about the strategy only, how to strategize your moves. So, and one of them is we are referring to the study material. Now you would say that when I'm preparing for the board exam, I'm supposed to refer it from my book only. That's correct. But when they have reduced the syllabus, and we know that the quality of the questions that they are going to give, so the same questions can be given in a different manner, right? And the same questions can be given in the same manner also. Maybe a different type of a question can be given which you have not done. So ensure that you score well in the changed pattern, because the word change itself, for the very first time, for me, as a student, I become quite curious and anxious at the same time. Because the very first time when you are subjected to a change is a very dicey situation, or I'll call it as a catch-22 situation. That change, the second time when the same change is repeated, it is no longer treated as a change, because then it is a new normal. So the first time any change is happening, we need to upgrade our preparation, because something which is in our hands is, the pattern is not in our hands. The quality of the question, the quantity of the question, the time limit that they are going to give per question is not in our hands. But we can use the same rubrics, we can use the same matrix for upgrading our preparation. despite the fact that the the syllabus has been reduced. So what I am advocating here is, other than your books, it is advisable that you should refer to a study material which helps you to prepare the similar kind of questions so that you can have more of a practice. Second, I can have different type of questions subscribing to the same syllabus which may not have appeared in your books. That way, what are we ensuring? We are ensuring ensuring a preparedness level for the exam is what we are ensuring by that. I hope you have understood this. So when it comes to theory, you will be getting a new exposure to the same theory, or maybe a different exposure to a different theory when you are referring to. For example, we were talking about the Euclid's lemma only. So maybe a different book on that talks about some other topic which can be connected with it, which is going to help you. At the same time, you can practice the same kind of questions, maybe in a different word format, maybe in a picture format, maybe in a different format altogether, which helps you to improve your quality of preparation. So remember 2 P's. One is the pattern of the exam. We don't know, we can't predict it, or some of us may predict it, but we do not know whether it is going to happen the way it has been predicted. But the other P, which is your preparedness, is in your hands. Now, to have some exposure to a change in pattern also, maybe it is advisable that you should refer to quality study material, ensuring quantity of questions as well. And if you want a further advice on this, so we do our own videos. If I talk about Shikshaarthi, we do our own videos. We have our own study material based on our experience, the kind of exams that I've been writing over a period of time. And then we have our own assessments, which helps you to come closer to the same topic. This is where we can help you. Okay, going forward, let us talk about the other changes as suggested. Okay, so now when we are talking about other changes, then they are talking about in coordinate geometry, area of a triangle is, they say, is a deleted topic. I see this as a very ambiguous statement, because the area of a triangle in coordinate geometry, as a student, I would understand what are they going to ask me. If they are asking me to delete the learning of the formula how to calculate the area of a triangle, which may be half times of x1 y2 minus x2 y1 plus something, so then it is okay, then it is fine with me. Why? Because they are asking me, they are not going to, what they have informed us is, they are not going to ask, if I were to interpret, though they have not mentioned it like this, is a very ambiguous statement that area of a triangle has been deleted. So what I can understand from here is, when they say that the area of a triangle, they are not going to ask is, they are not going to ask how to calculate the area of a triangle based on the coordinates of the 3 vertices given. This is what I can understand. Then it is healthy, because the formula is really lengthy. But then, is this the only way in which I can ask the area of a triangle? No. So when you are doing coordinate geometry, or when you are doing trigonometry, and you know that geometry, coordinate geometry and trigonometry are connected with each other, can I skip the learning of the area of a triangle? No. And if it is just a question of a small formula, or even a lengthy formula, which I know that I have to upgrade my preparations because I do not know what exactly do they mean by the deletion of the area of a triangle, should I do it? I think you should. Okay, going further, talking about triangles, they say that some aspects of similarity they have removed. So I see that as a healthy change, but if I see it from competitive exams perspective, or if I see it from a point of trigonometry, or if I see it from a point of somebody who is going to take mathematics in class 11th and 12th, then this is unavoidable. Right? Let's move on to the next. Construction of a triangle similar to a given triangle. So I know as a student, if somebody asks me to construct more and more, wherein I have to use those tools to construct a triangle, whether it is a protractor or it's a compass or whatsoever, I know that it becomes quite gruesome. So I see this as a healthy change. But when I see that when they advise that in trigonometry, complementary angles or calculate the ratios, they have used a terminology like motivate the ratios whichever are defined at 0 degree and 90 degree. I see that this is slightly out of place and they wanted to say something else. The word motivate has been wrongly used here. Maybe they wanted to say calculate the ratios whichever are defined at 0 degrees and 90 degrees. One should not forget that if they are asking us to, these topics are deleted, what are you saying? It comes as a contradictory statement. Why? Because have they deleted a chapter like heights and distances? No. Now in heights and distances, most of the time you would be using complementary angle theorem only, most of the times. If you can't use it, tell it to me, I'll do it for you. And I'll prove it that most of the times the concepts of heights and distances are just based out of a triangle like a 30, 16, 90 triangle or a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And believe me that I'll prove it for you, that these complementary ratios will be required. Otherwise, what are they going to ask you in trigonometry? Just to find out those 6 trigonometric ratios, what are the values? Maybe, so in that case, if they are going to make such an easy paper, that easy paper would be easy for everyone, right? So I would pray to God that the first discussion that I had with you, the difficulty level can always be decreased, but let us not forget the fact that when the difficulty level is being decreased, it is being decreased for everyone. So maybe somebody who is not very conceptually clear, somebody whose basics and concepts are not very clear, even they would be able to score very good marks. So as a good student, I am supposed to upgrade my basics and concepts and the quality and the quantity of the study material, the lessons that I am referring to, the questions that I am doing, maybe from the book itself, maybe from other books, maybe I am supposed to refer to past papers also, but past papers had a different pattern. Their syllabus was vast. The syllabus was more than what your syllabus is going to be. So then, when it comes to screening, will you screen the questions? So it becomes very difficult for you when you are referring to a question set that this is something, how do I avoid this? Wherein they are asking me to avoid the use of Pythagoras theorem also, or to prove that if the sum of the squares of any two sides is equal to the square of the third side, which they have said is deleted. What am I asking you to delete? I am asking you to delete the Pythagoras theorem and all the applications of the Pythagoras theorem. So coming back, trigonometric ratios you have already done, right? And most of the applications, you have studied a right angle triangle only. When it comes to application of right angle triangle is heights and distances. So how can we avoid ratios of complementary angles? I doubt this, and I can prove this also with the help of a very small example that I am going to take here is, now if I take a right angle triangle, then only I talk about trigonometric ratios. Now if the vertices are A, B, C and they are asking me to calculate sine of C, right, at the same time they can ask me to calculate the cos of A also, right? So which are nothing. Now A and C are what? They are complementary angles only. So if they are saying that they are not going to ask questions on complementary angles, this comes as a contradictory statement, because in any case they would be asking you in some way or the other. So should we avoid it? You shouldn't. It is advisable that you should do complementary angles, because that is going to help you in this year's study also, and if you are going to take maths further as well. Okay. Then they say problems on central angle of 120 degrees is something which is going to be deleted. Okay. I would say that this is something which is an extension of 30-60. 30-60-90 triangle. If I take two such triangles, I am basically talking about a central angle as 120 degrees, wherein the hypotenuse becomes nothing but the radius of the circle that I am drawing. So it is advisable that you should not drop this out, because it has cascading effects. It is going to help you in coordinate geometry as well. It is going to help you in trigonometry. It is going to help you in mensuration. It is going to help you where you cannot even think, conjecture as of now. Okay. Next which I see is frustrum of a cone. Now frustrum, I have always seen it as a frustrated cone. I mean, you can pardon me for this, but whenever somebody used to ask me during my school days, I mean, do frustrum, I always used to say, oh, frustrum is a frustrated cone, a truncated cone. Somebody is asking me to avoid this, it's a healthy change. Okay. Next it says step deviation method. I take it as a very healthy one. I mean, this can be deleted. Probability no deletion. I mean, the probability of no deletion should have been lesser in the chapter like probability. So I hope I have talked about all the aspects with respect to the pattern and the preparation level and the quality, content and the quantity and so on. Now, if you want me to, you can have a one-to-one chat with me also if you wish. From my side, this is the best that I could have done. Now, before I say goodbye to you, I would wish you all the best for your, I'm talking to all the students, I would wish you all the best for your board exams, and follow this piece of advice. If some further advice is required, please connect with us one-to-one. So, if you feel that this video is really informative, please like it and share it with as many people as you can, because this is important for parents and students, those who are going to write the exam, and the parents of the students, those who are going to write the exam. Right? At the same time, you may consider subscribing to our channel, or you can suggest to somebody to, subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. Until next we meet, goodbye and all the best.